If you enjoy hearing these eerie tales and want more to help you drift off or keep you up at night, don't forget to tap the like button. It really helps the channel grow. Story 1. I've been talking to someone in the night. At first it was weird, but now I'm genuinely horrified. Everything started 2 months ago. In January, I moved to a new house in Port Arthur. I had recently divorced from my husband after a 6-year marriage, and I wanted to live somewhere I could be free. I also brought with me my golden retriever, Milo. At that time, he was almost 2 years old. When I first saw the house, I was instantly amazed. It was beautiful. The garden was big, filled with green grass. Especially Milo was happy, and I immediately contacted the landlord and told him it was sold. The first night in my new house was perfect. When I lay on my bed, it felt like euphoria was bubbling inside my body. I felt so cozy, safe, and free in my covers, all at the same time. Those were the only nights I felt safe, though. On the 4th night, I woke up to some strange growling sounds. It sounded like a baby kitten that was being beaten to death combined with some gurgling and thuds. I woke up and checked the clock. It was 3:55. Milo was next to me in bed and he was shivering and whimpering, which was strange because he had never acted like this before. There was no reason he should have acted this way. Oh boy, I was so wrong. Because that was when I started actually hearing the growling sounds. It felt like it was coming from the room next to me, yet I couldn't build up the courage to stand up and walk over there. I decided that the growling sounds could be the neighbors and calmed myself down to sleep again. At almost 5, the growling sounds finally stopped. This continued for almost a month, when one night something scary happened. I woke up to thudding sounds, and this time there was no growling. I looked beside me for Milo, but he wasn't there. In fact, the spot next to me was completely empty but warm, which meant that Milo was here but had just left. "Milo!" I yelled repeatedly. I finally got out of bed and stood up. I slowly walked down the corridor and it was completely pitch black. On my 4th step, I saw a pair of yellow eyes in the dark. It felt like it was the only source of light and it illuminated the dark room. I was so scared that I couldn't even scream. I had no idea what I was supposed to do at the moment. "Milo, is that you?" I reached out slowly and hoped that I would touch that furry, cute little dog that he was. Then, another pair of yellow eyes appeared in the dark. This time, I actually screamed. I ran to my room, gasping for air, and lo and behold, Milo was sitting at the door of my room, but his hair was all soaking wet, and he was again shivering vigorously. I slammed the door behind me. My worries of the yellow eyes started to fade. All I worried about right now was Milo and what happened to him. "Milo!" I exclaimed, scared. I found out his whole body was covered in blood. It was like someone had grabbed him and dunked him in a pot of blood, let him stand in the cold rain while some of it washed off, then told him to come back to me. Milo was still whining and whimpering, possibly from the cold, so I decided to wash him up. When I was washing him, I could feel something's presence looming over me. When I was bathing him, I felt someone watching. When I was combing his fur, I felt someone watching. When I dried him, I felt someone watching. Finally, when I was done with Milo, it was dawn. I hadn't gotten a good night's sleep, so I went straight to bed again. When I woke up, it was in the middle of the night again. Somehow, I had slept from dawn to the next night. Was this possible? I wasn't a very deep sleeper. And then it hit me. What if I hadn't slept for so long? In fact, Milo's incident was just a dream. I had always had crazy dreams, but this dream felt too realistic to believe. I looked to the spot beside me on my bed, and there Milo was, all cozied up and sleeping. I couldn't understand anything that was happening to me. I felt scared and unsafe. At this point, I just fell asleep again. This time, I woke up during the afternoon. I went out of bed to make a coffee for myself, and Milo came along with me. Everything seemed great, only the nighttime was when weird things happens. I was scrolling on Instagram when I found this app that allows you to track your sleep and record anything that you say or do in the middle of the night. That night, I set the app up after having dinner. I ate a fulfilling meal of McDonald's and went straight to bed after. I placed my phone in the bedside table and went to sleep. That night, I slept soundly, my first time in a month. When I woke up, it was morning, and I was feeling as happy as a goose. I checked my sleep tracker. I had slept for 8 hours straight, and it said, "Well done," on the app. I played the recordings that was recorded during the night. What it recorded shocked me. In the middle of the night, I could hear sounds of muffled rustling, like someone was looking through my drawers. That was shocking, but not the scariest part. The scariest part was, I heard my own voice asking, "What are you doing?" and a deep male voice that said, "Nothing." After that short conversation, the rustling disappeared and everything was silent. How was this possible? I lived in the house by myself, and I was sure of it. I could recognize my own voice, although I do not recall saying anything in the middle of the night. And who was that deep male voice? Could my ex have sneaked in? He did not know any details related to my address, so I was unsure of that. The following night, weird conversations was recorded again. I heard rustling again, from the recordings, then my voice saying, "Go away, please," and a deep male voice again saying, "Why?" After that, it was silent again. Today, I have moved away from the house because of my frightening encounters with these weird experiences. I no longer have sleeping problems, and I don't see or hear voices in the dark anymore. Although I am probably safe now, I still am very curious. Who or what was haunting me in the other house? Why? I will never forget my experience in the other house, and one day I will find you, the person who haunted me. Before we get into the next story, please subscribe, it really helps me grow. I work in different psychiatric wards as a cognitive psychologist. I do mostly research, but I also talk to patients a lot about managing their symptoms. My research specialty is schizophrenia. The vast majority of mental health workers lack basic empathy. It probably is the shithole I live in that makes it just too easy to abuse people with mental illness. I'm sure there are many good psychiatric and mental health professionals out there, but I barely see any. I have officially started spiraling again. I'm once again pacing the house 24/7. I'm once again being told that I have too much empathy for this line of work, which doesn't make any goddamn sense to me. No, I am not going to leave people I care about to a bunch of psychopaths that degrade and humiliate them and just stick to my research instead. My empathy is not a problem. I refuse to believe that it is, after 10+ years of working in mental health. You are the problem. You have ruined my perception of humanity. You have turned me into this cynical, angry, bitter soul who doesn't believe in people's kindness anymore. I hate that I have to always be at the edge of my sit. Because anytime a patient is being anything other than the perfect victim, you all are too fast to put them in their place. Anytime I hear a patient stand up for themselves, I know I have to act fast before they get cornered and forced into submission in the most traumatizing, humiliating, degrading way. I used to think everyone has kindness in their hearts, and cruelty is just someone not understanding the consequences of their actions. I gave people way too many chances to say they didn't mean harm. 3 months into my first psychiatric ward internship, and I had that worldview knocked out of me with such brute force that I'm still breathless 6 years later. P.S. IDK. If anyone reads this actually, but please refrain from telling me to prioritize my mental health and get stable first. You legitimately have no idea. I'm not being sacrificial. I am being completely self-serving. Anytime I have left clinical work for more than 2 weeks, I have fallen into the deepest depression and despair. I have stopped eating and sleeping and drove everyone around me crazy. It's just a very shitty situation I'm in. That's all.